Alright, what is up YouTube? Welcome back to another anime live action video for you guys, as today I came across this interesting article that talks about how Stranger Things is actually inspired by Elfen Lied, which is actually my favorite horror anime of all time. So I figured, yeah, I definitely want to make a video about this. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, it says here, the sci-fi horror TV phenomenon Stranger Things has amassed an enormous legion of fans worldwide, and they are desperately waiting for the rest of season 4 to launch. Interestingly, parts of its story were inspired by a classic anime, and it's the perfect show to watch while waiting for Stranger Things' thrilling conclusion to land on Netflix. In a 2016 interview with the Daily Beast, Stranger Things creator Matt and Ross Duffer talked about what influenced the popular series. Matt Duffer said that he had seen an anime called Elfen Lied, and notes that it was inspired by Akira. He then adds that there were a lot of things in there that I really liked and that made their way into the show, particularly related to the character of Eleven. Reading more of this article, it pretty much talks about the premise of Elfen Lied and a lot of the backstory and events that happened to Lucy throughout the anime. So I'm not going to get into that. If you haven't watched it, you definitely should. I'm just going to get more into how Elfen Lied compares to Stranger Things. It is easy to see how Elfen Lied inspired the character of Eleven in Stranger Things, as she too was kept in a secret government facility due to her special powers. Like Lucy, Eleven escapes and is taken in by an unknowing person. Both shows also explore the idea of a strange otherworldly force trying to attack and eventually wipe out humanity for its own mysterious ends, turning a previously mundane world into a horrific battlefield. The idea of young people trying to balance everyday problems and an existential threat is prevalent, with Kota and Yuka having to navigate life and romance while also dodging government agents. While Elfen Lied and Stranger Things feature similar themes, the anime is darker, more violent, and more willing to be extremely cruel to its characters. This leads to several moments that will turn the viewer's stomach and stick in the memory long after the show finishes. That I can definitely agree with. The concept of the human-like Diclonius and the group's often confusing nature is handled well, and the story puts a fascinating twist on several outsider themes. It also asks what it means to be human in both the biological and philosophical sense. The programs are quite different aesthetically, as Elfen Lied uses the anime medium to fantastic effect, creating several scenes that would be impossible to replicate in live action. That's interesting that they said that, considering that Stranger Things is a live action show. It is fascinating to see how Elfen Lied helped inspire Stranger Things and many other stories. However, while the two share similar themes, they both approach and handle them in vastly different ways, both aesthetically and thematically. This makes Elfen Lied well worth watching, as it is a fantastic and gripping show in its own right. Viewers who dive in now will have a whole new appreciation for Stranger Things, and a greater understanding of why Matt and Ross Duffer handled Eleven how they did. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the article. To be honest, I don't really agree with the part about where it says that it can't be done in live action, because Elfen Lied came out in 2004, so the animation isn't anything that's like, you know, so out there to where camera angles are just going crazy and it would just be impossible to like see it done in live action. Like, the only challenges that I could think of that I'm trying to remember off the top of my head would just be like, I guess, some of the horrific scenes, of course. But like, I would say live action does horror pretty well. I mean, to be fair, I think horror in any medium is just horrific, like straight up. If it's done right, it can just really turn your stomach and just like, you know what I mean? Like the gore and everything, like it's frightening no matter what medium it's in. I've seen some really gruesome stuff in live action horror, and I've seen some really gruesome stuff in anime horror. So I don't necessarily agree with them saying that it's impossible to do in live action, but I'm also not disagreeing, because, you know, obviously I would rather watch an anime than watch a live action show, because anime is my favorite medium. And it has been a while since I've seen Elfen Lied. I've rewatched it a few times, but it's been a while since the last time I've seen it. And I'm probably gonna rewatch it pretty soon now that I kind of got the itch for it, and this article just came out, so I'm like, yo. But yeah, not necessarily agreeing or disagreeing with them in that statement, especially considering since the whole article is about the live action show Stranger Things being based on or influenced by Elfen Lied, which is an anime. So it's kind of like counter-arguing your own article. But yeah, and also just to throw this out there, I have not actually seen Stranger Things, so I have no knowledge of this character Eleven to make any self-comparisons or observations of how they made the character based on Lucy or anything like that. So unfortunately, I can't make any comments on that. But I will say Lucy is an amazing character from the anime. I really like her. And I also have yet to read the manga, which I hear is quite different from the anime, even darker, if you can imagine that. So yeah, I've been waiting to one day read the Elfen Lied manga. Who knows, it might be soon. And I've also been kind of holding off on watching Stranger Things because I tried watching it a little bit, like when it first came out. Wasn't really interested, to be honest. And ever since then, the hype has just never died down for it. So I kind of just like, I just never really got into it. But with this article coming out and it's saying that it's actually inspired or taking influence from Elfen Lied, which, as I said, is my favorite horror anime of all time, I might be more inclined to actually watch Stranger Things now. Especially to see this character 11 and how she is translated into live action influenced by an anime character. So yeah, what do you guys think? Have you guys seen Stranger Things? Do you guys know this character 11 that's being talked about in the article? And have you guys seen Elfen Lied? Did you notice any of the comparisons between the two before this article, before this video? Definitely let me know in the comments below. Leave a like on the video, subscribe if you haven't already, that helps me out a ton. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And I'll see y'all in the next video.